So, Antonio, what's the latest? What's happening on campus at Columbia?
Hey, Chris. Well, there is an ongoing protest right outside the gates, right in front of Hamilton Hall. There are students, faculty members, other people part of the Columbia community expressing their anger at what they saw transpire here last night. Almost every student and faculty member that I speak to says that it was extremely disturbing to see the NYPD come back for the second time, arrest about 119 people here. And that includes students who have been associated with the protest movement and also people who are not, who simply described feeling like this was an escalation that deeply affects them, just as being members of the community, having to see it get to this point. I have one of the Columbia professors here with me right now, Joseph Slaughter. Thank you so much for making time to join us. So from the faculty perspective, what was it like to see all of this unfold last night?
I was standing here last night almost behind you, watching the assault vehicle pull up to Hamilton Hall. It was devastating. Faculty near me, students near me were crying in despair over the fact that the administration has escalated to the point where they're bringing in an assault team to shut down student protest. I can understand that the building occupation is a different matter than a completely peaceful, nonviolent encampment that had existed on the campus for the last 10 days or so. But the fact that the building can be occupied is due partly to the gross mismanagement of this administration. It has escalated consistently for the last 7 months. These students have been attempting to get what they understand to be a human rights message about justice for Palestine out for 7 months, and at every turn they have been met with repressive actions to shut down their ability to speak, to demonstrate, to try to make their voices heard in what they see as the greatest human rights crisis of the moment. And this administration, in failing to listen to its students beginning in October and November, in failing to hear the voices of its faculty, experts in the field, experts in the area, coming up with their kind of administrative decisions among a small cabinet of ministers at the top of underneath the president. They have consistently escalated and kettled the speech of the students.
They released a statement this morning, the president, saying that they tried to have productive conversations with the students that went on for 8 days, essentially saying they did their best to avoid what happened here. Do you not believe them?
They may have tried to do their best over the past 8 days. They did not do their best over the previous 6 months. If they had had those productive conversations with the students when they were clearly making their statements in absolutely peaceful, vigil-like manners in November and in October, we wouldn't be here today. If they had bothered to sit down with the students, my understanding is that this president refused to meet with the leaders of the 2 student groups that she unilaterally suspended in November, refused to meet to talk with them about their demands, about their concerns, refused to hear the vast majority of students who see this as an unfolding, potentially genocide in Gaza.
There will now be an NYPD presence until May 17th, past graduation. There's clearly a hope to go back to business as usual here and to make sure that people can have the graduation celebrations that they've always envisioned. Do you think that's what's about to happen here? Can this campus go back to normal?
I don't see how there's any going back to normal for a normal commencement, for a normal graduation. The protest behind us is actually primarily faculty who are demonstrating both at having been themselves locked out of campus, in support of the students and in protest of militarizing the campus, in support of the students' rights to speech and the missteps and gross mismanagement of the senior administration.
Did the students take it too far by entering Hamilton Hall?
Hamilton Hall is to change the approach. In my opinion, they had won with their message with the encampment on campus. They had spawned a nationwide, even international movement. They had raised the issues that they're concerned about to the level that you all are here, that the press is all over this campus. Their voices were being heard. In that sense, I think they had already achieved what they really needed to achieve. The entry into Hamilton Hall is not probably necessary, right? They clearly felt some kind of desperation. I don't know. I can't explain their actions.
Thank you so much, Professor Slaughter. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Chris, even when I speak to pro-Israeli students and community members here at Columbia, the one thing it seems everybody here can agree on is that the administration is at fault for this escalation, that at some point, if you are one of the pro-Palestinian students or faculty members, that there could have been better negotiations, or if you are one of the students who has felt intimidated or harassed or hurt by all that's unfolded here on campus, that she could have stepped in earlier to assure that those conversations calmed down, that they got to a level that could make them feel safe. Many of those students have left campus. They won't even be here for any of the celebrations. And so everyone on all sides feels this immense disappointment right now and this feeling that just because Hamilton Hall is clear now, this story isn't over.